Hi, listener. This is From Ideology to Unity, a spiritual journey where we let go of ego and ideological doctrine in favor of meaning, purpose, and unity as a whole. Today, I'm interviewing Astrid Rodas, a nurse, researcher, and coach with over 12 years of experience. She helps people heal and evolve their consciousnesses with empirical insights from epigenetics, neuroscience, and quantum physics. She specializes in depression, anxiety, trauma, stress, chronic pain, and related diseases. So I hear you're starseed.
Um, Thank you for the introduction. I am a human being. I'm here on this planet. Yes, it's just a great time to be alive and to be able to share our gifts with whoever might need them. And especially now in the times that we're living on planet Earth, where there is so much deception. So many people are caught up in the veil of illusion where we're being pulled from both sides. It's just been quite the journey because for many people, if you concentrate on only on one side of the spectrum, it will take you to a very interesting ride. Because you're really caught up in duality and you don't see the bigger game at play. So yeah, especially during the last week or so, it has been intensified in the planet. And as a lot of the lies have been dismantling, a lot of people are having issues and resisting, which is our human nature. We tend to resist, and part of your show is about the ego, which the ego is an important character in our life, in our human life, because it keeps us safe. That is the role of the ego to so then we can. If we're anticipating danger, then we can either retract from it or fight it, or if we become frozen. But yeah, that is the big role of the ego, and it's time that we really understand how we can integrate it rather than trying to fight it or trying to dissolve it from our existence as part of it. And if we're in the third dimensional reality, um, which we're transitioning into the fourth dimension, then we have to integrate the ego rather than trying to fight it.
Yeah, I agree with that idea because, I mean, there's this Buddhist idea of dissolving the ego, I suppose, and some people talk about it. But in my opinion, there's this Jungian idea, Jungian psychology, of integrating the shadow, which is your subconscious, and that
Yeah.
as you do that, your ego gets more closely aligned to yourself. Oh, you're adding music to this, huh?
Yeah, we're gonna put a little bit of music in the background, like super chilled, really nice
No, that's a good idea.
music.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So yeah, as you were saying.
Um, the integration of these things would, I suppose, I suppose, a better emphasis is, like you said, how we can retransmute within to a form that's more harmonious and integrated as a whole.
Right. And it's the same thing when we talk about the human body and being a spiritual being, because if we're focusing only on the spiritual part of our existence, then we're really not paying attention to our body, and the body is the vehicle that is taking us places. So same thing, we have to balance everything. We have to balance the light and the darkness within ourselves first, because otherwise, we keep blaming whatever is going on in our exterior experience. And with the ego, what happened is that, a lot of the religions or a lot of the philosophies about the ego that took us to a point in our evolution. And right now we're evolving really, really fast. And those philosophies, amazing philosophies, rooted in the heart, rooted in love, but it took us to a point. And so now we're in a totally different space. The earth is in a completely different plane. And so right now this is the new paradigm. This is the new paradigm where we don't have to go and seek gurus and rishis and yogis to teach us how to manage these times, because now we all have the neurological hardware. We all have the access to the knowledge. And if we open our hearts, and if we open to the antenna, the big antenna that we have here in the back center of our head, which is the pineal gland, then we are able to discern between what is real for us and what is not. So then we can navigate and we can integrate in a better way and balance everything out. And that's what it's all about. That's what is happening right now on planet Earth. So we're trying to balance it all out.
Right. I had I had something I was going to say, but that's okay. It's probably better if it's natural, what I come up with anyway, right? So we can all be teachers for each other, and that's the change. It's not this authority structure where we're looking up to, well, there's a system of authority where people literally base their views and the entire worldview on what an authority figure tells them. And we've relied on that for a long time. It had its purpose in the level of existence we were living in, right? But it's no longer, we become self-reliant.
Right.
This increasingly, as we move into what you might call it 5D or 4D or whatever you call the next level of existence that we're moving into. I suppose in a way it might even be, I mean, I could label it as maybe anarchist, but that doesn't really do it justice. It's just that we no longer will we be relying on all these rigid structures and strict hierarchies in how we do things. Great.
Exactly. And so it is completely fine if we're needing extra help to rely on each other, but we're students and teachers at the same time. And what is happening is that some of us have strengths in certain areas and we have mastered perhaps an area. And then your friend, your neighbor, your significant other might have strength in a completely different area. And that's how we're building ourselves up. And it's really a matter of understanding that we have everything inside of us already. Everything. The cures for diseases, the wisdom, and how to reach higher levels of consciousness. We don't need to go and do all of this long ayahuasca retreats or any other type of plant medicine, which I am not against it. Completely not. I am not against it. But for my own experience and what has happened in my experience is that I have never done ayahuasca, and I am not completely not against it, like I mentioned before, because I really have dedicated myself in exploring what I can do by myself without relying on any exterior perhaps, type of medicine or plant medicine or anything of that nature that could possibly help me to connect to the higher levels of existence. And in my experience, I have had amazing revelations and also healing experiences where I have come to this is last year, at the beginning of last year, around March or April, I was having a really serious issue with my health, and me being a nurse, and also my nature, I am sort of stubborn. I do admit it. I am very stubborn. I it's almost like throughout my life I get challenges and I don't want to rely on others. I want to figure it out for myself. And so I was having this very difficult health issue. And because I am a nurse, I basically, so I was having a really heavy bleed because I was diagnosed with fibroids in my uterus, but they weren't really causing a lot of trouble. And that was 2 years before I was diagnosed with those fibroids. And they weren't causing trouble. So, I let them be and I continued with my life. But then I started having serious issues and I was having tremendous heavy bleeds. And I know, not only from a nurse perspective, but knowing my body, I knew that I was going down. I was going down, and I said, okay, I really need to make a decision. So I said, well, you have two big options here. You can go to the hospital, which is like 10 minutes away from your house, and you're going to get a blood transfusion and you're going to have surgery. And I was, I don't know if that is really an option for me right now. Or you can explore what you have learned. And so I was in this dilemma, and I was doing traveling nursing in California at the time. So I had no family around. I was by myself. And so I went to the bathroom, and as I am thinking what my next step is gonna be, I said, okay, just get ready for whatever your decision is gonna be. So I got ready and I went back in the room, and I have this message cards as an oracle, the Kuan Yin oracle, the Divine Mother, which the Divine Mother Kuan Yin is a higher aspect of myself. Just like if I was to pray to Archangel Michael, or if I was to chant mantras to Ganesh or to Shiva, or if I chant any Buddhist mantras to the Buddha, there are higher aspects of ourselves that we can connect to at any given time.
Is that all of us?
Exactly. So it's what it depends. It could be from how you grew up or what you have integrated in our body. Like we connect to different energies, but they're all there. They're all in the quantum field.
Why do you need cards or what have you to access them? That one might ask, why can't you just access it yourself? Why use these things?
Right, you can. Some people do. And so I connect to Mother Kuan Yin, the Divine Mother. So, you could connect to anybody else, or you can connect to yourself and perhaps get a message, right? Because we're all different.
Yeah.
And it's not right or wrong to do it in a different way. So I connect to Mother Kuan Yin, and I went in my room and I said, I would love for you, Mother Kuan Yin, to give me a message. So I pulled out my cards, and I pulled my card, and it said self-empowerment. And I said, oh shit, That means I'm not going to the hospital. I said, okay, all right, let's do this. Go back in the bathroom, and I'm like, I guess I'm not going to the hospital. I got prepared to go do my meditation that I had been practicing, and prepared to rest for the night. And
how did you feel?
so
Was it like a
I
load
felt,
off your shoulders?
yes. So basically, how I connect to my intuition and how I learned from one of my mentors is that if your body feels good about a decision that you're making, like your gut feeling, your body is going to tell you, you know, if you feel excited or if you feel peaceful and harmonious, then that is your answer right there. You know, it's like, okay, I wasn't feeling like the option to go to the hospital was, for me, I felt it in my body like, okay, this is not really the greatest option at this point. And of course, you know, I'm not saying that anybody else should be doing this, because if you're in a state of an emergency and if you need to go to the hospital, please go to the hospital, right? This
Is it
is
the
my experience.
question? Is it the combination
Yes,
of synchronicities and like the such that might be happening in your life around you
absolutely.
and how you feel internally at the same time?
Absolutely. And also from previous experiences that I have healed myself. So I knew in my heart that I have what it takes. So I go back to the bathroom and I prepare myself. But before I went back in my bedroom, I put my hands on my womb. And out of nowhere, this comes to me. I command you to stop bleeding right now. Out of nowhere. I go in my room, I put my headphones on, and I did the meditation that I had been practicing, which is called The Blessing of the Energy Centers. And it's a meditation by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
I was going to ask if you've listened to this stuff.
Yeah. So this meditation, you go through every energy center and you keep going up and you keep going up. And then, you know, you go through this procedure, and it's one of the most amazing and beneficial meditations for healing the body. So I went and lay down, put on my headphones, and I started meditating. And right away, this energy was running through my body. It was so intense, so intense. I was feeling it in my entire body, and my jaw was shaking.
Were you getting help from your higher self or anything like that, do you think?
Absolutely. You know, it was the energy from the quantum field, from whatever you want to call it. If you know, the quantum field is the mind of God, where everything emanates from. So this energy was running through my body and I am shaking. And I said, well, perhaps I'm dying and I am going to surrender to this energy because it doesn't feel scary to me. So I stayed in bed and I finished my meditation, which is probably lasts approximately about an hour. And then I felt my body really great, very relaxed, like I was ready to fall asleep. Fell asleep. When I woke up the following day, I went to the bathroom and I saw my face and it wasn't as pale as it was the day before. So I said, okay, all right, I feel better. Okay. So I had the strength to go to get my supplements that I needed it and to get certain foods that were gonna help me support in what had just happened in my body, which I was very, very anemic. So that happened, and I did what my intuition was telling me, and I ate certain things that I wasn't really used to, but I got a very clear message of go get this, and that, and I did. This is April of last year, end of March or beginning of April of last year. I haven't had any issues with that. Completely gone completely. And the fibroids that I had completely disappeared.
I want to learn
Gone.
how to do this. Anyone, like, we could all heal anything, right?
Yes. Yes.
Some of those meditations, I guess, are a bit maybe intimidating, but it depends how you
Absolutely.
meditation you are. He's got an
Yeah.
interesting way of talking as well, isn't he? When he does his meditations, they're quite unique.
Absolutely. And I I really didn't know what to expect. I didn't have an expectation or an attachment to what was happening. I just surrendered to the process. But you
Question.
notice that when I made my decision that I was not going to go to the hospital, I felt this empowering sense within myself, and I commanded whatever was going on in my body to stop whatever was doing to my body. And so that's the moment that you say, okay, this is what I am going to do, and I'm going to do it. But you have to be committed to it. You cannot be in this state of, oh, well, yeah, I'm going to try and see. No, I'm going to do it. But you have to really get the strength out of nowhere, and you do it. Just like, there are so many humans that get like this amazing superhuman powers when they lift a car by themselves trying to save their child.
Yeah.
So it is the same thing, really.
How do you? What's the most important things for detaching?
So to me, the most important things will be to not have an expectation as how the outcome is going to look. Just let the divinity, the quantum field, or the energy that you connect to surprise you, because if you already have an expectation, then when it comes to you, you might be disappointed.
Is it part of it?
Knowing.
Is it bravery about the unknown
Oh, you have to be fearless.
and
Oh,
about God
absolutely.
itself? Like, because
Yes.
what we need to deal with, under some awareness that I've had recently, is that we need to deal with our inner traumas and our fears and negativity within us to a certain extent. Now, maybe there's a way to just shortcut through all that. I don't know exactly what that is. I mean, Eckhart Tolle seems to have done it somehow, but like, do we need to get to a certain stage of development through years of study and no, I mean like meditation and stuff, or can we just follow a simple method and do it?
So basically, because what has been happening in our planet in the last year, it's been happening for years and years, but the process has accelerated in the last year. And as we can see, it is already super accelerated this half of the month already. It's just absolutely crazy what's happening.
I've had a realization.
Yeah.
One potential that this allows is that, so with all the COVID patients, whatever you believe about what's going on, a lot of people haven't been able to get treatment at a hospital, right?
Yeah.
And well, Joe Dispenza's treatment is available to people.
Yeah.
It seems like a perfect opportunity for millions of people to heal themselves and never need a healthcare service again.
So this is really where we're heading in our evolution as a planet, not only in the technologies that are coming this year. This year is the year of revelation. We will hear about lies and about truths that have been hidden. We will hear about technologies that are mined at the beginning. We will have to expand our consciousness in order to understand what these technologies are about. And also the advancement in our own technology that we have in our body. So it's really this moment of where we are is the perfect moment to surrender to the unknown and just be fearless. Be fearless because, what is the worst that could happen to our human existence? That we go on. Yeah.
It's not like we have any idea what's going to happen next anyway at this point.
Right. Right, absolutely. And we can speculate, we can have an idea of what we want. We can have a vision of what the planet, where the planet is heading. We can have a clear vision of our lives, and start creating from that vision.
That's
From that,
manifestation. Exactly.
yes, and absolutely. But what is coming for humanity, it's absolutely is going to blow our minds completely. So this is where we're heading. And what I have experienced in my life is that when I really open to what comes to me, like I got to the point, because I've been on my spiritual path for quite a few years. I don't even know how many years. I think it was a little after 2012, like too many of us started asking questions, and then the answers started coming to us rather quickly. So I really stopped doing much of searching for answers, rather more than observing and integrating what was coming to me. And it's been in sequence, of course, with the synchronicities and connecting to my body to what it feels good for me. Because I get a lot of messages every single day. Like, I bombarded, especially right now, we're bombarded with information. I mean,
Of messages.
it's just unbelievable. So what really feels good in my body, and what I connect to, then I perhaps hear a message. But I made a really a decision and a commitment to myself to start practicing meditation on a daily basis. And so that absolutely is transforming everything in my life. I am manifesting what I want to manifest in my life. And of course, health, it's one of my top priorities, because if we don't have the health, how do we navigate this 3D reality, 3D, 4D reality? And, a lot of all the other tools that we need to navigate in a more sovereign way. Like you mentioned earlier, these are the times that we realize that we're sovereign, and we don't have to rely on governments and structures to dictate how we want to live our life. That as long as we know that what we're doing is for the benefit of us and the rest of our fellow humans, that we're on the right path. How could we be on the wrong path if what you're doing, what you're focusing your energy on, is for the benefit of everybody as a collective?
All right, sorry.
Yeah, no.
I know labels are ultimately like just labels, right? And I don't, but this came to me, and I'll trust it. Anarcho-holism.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's interesting. I don't know. It just came to me. I'm not.
Yeah, and yeah, it's part of what we're going through as well, because a lot of us are relying on substances, like I mentioned before, and no judgment, absolutely no judgment, because I've been there before. I at one point in my life, I pretty much, yeah, I would consider myself an alcoholic, because I was using the alcohol to calm my body down, my nervous system. And so when you're depending on the substance to do certain thing in your body, you're dependent, you're already an alcoholic, just like anything else.
So we can do anything. We can create that effect ourselves, whatever it is, technically.
Absolutely. Yes. And meditation has been amazing for me. Breathing techniques have been amazing for me. And and you have to, I don't necessarily think that one method is better than the other because there are so many. And what I do, what has worked in my experiences following the meditations, but of Joe Dispenza, but in a way that you have to understand why you're doing the things that you're doing, because it's not for everybody. This is not your typical, you're going to listen to this guided meditation and it's like, oh, it just feels so nice, and this angelic voice that perhaps is telling you what to do. No, he is like, don't resist. In your meditation, you're doing this breathing, and you're pulling the energy from your first energy center, and you're trying to bring it up into the pineal gland, and he is like, don't resist. And when he says that, I'm just like, oh.
Yeah. He's quite particular about how to do it, and you've really got to focus. I suppose you can't focus on anything else because it's like, yeah, it's really intense. So
it's the part of surrender. If you're gonna go all in. When I was in his training last November, the second day, I mean, I can talk about it, all the experiences I have had, and before Dr. Joe Dispenza, of course, I have had beautiful experiences as well. But the second day of his training, he said, if you're here, you're gonna give me your 100%. Otherwise, just decide if you can go back home. It's up to you. Are you gonna give me your 100%? And I said, I'm gonna give my 100%. That's why I'm here. All right, let's do this. And 2 hours later, I'm laying on the ground, and I after a meditation, I'm trying to get up, and everybody is getting up. The lights are on, and I am on all fours, and I am like all wobbly. And I said, oh, this is really, really interesting. And I'm like wobbly, and I said, okay, well, just catch your breath and then get up and sit on the chair. Everybody is getting up. So the more I was breathing deeply, the more my body was relaxing. So at one point, my hands they had no strength whatsoever. So I fell, and I said, oh, great. I'm laughing at myself because I have been through a lot of spiritual events. And if you know me, I am not the typical person that wants to cause a scene or that wants to call attention to themselves. I am the one that sits all the way in the back corner by myself.
Well, that's
because I like to be in my space.
That was catalyst for you, maybe.
Yeah. So I'm laying on the side because I couldn't get up, and I said, well, this actually doesn't feel scary to me, but my body is completely numb. So when I opened my eyes, I saw my friend and my roommate from the event, and Rhonda comes to me, and she was next to me, and she was giving me energy. And she says, are you okay, honey? And I said, Rhonda, I am okay. I can't move my body. I'm completely numb. And then I said, Rhonda, this is why I don't do drugs. So she starts laughing because we had the talk about drugs the night before.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because we were talking in our room, and I said, Rhonda, I have nothing, and the same thing, nothing against cannabis or psychedelic mushrooms or anything like that people are using it in a beautiful way to heal depression and anxiety and all of that. But it's just for me because I am I'm working on a clear vessel. And so we had that conversation. And so I said, Rhonda, as I'm laying, this is why I don't do drugs. And she starts laughing. And she says, just take your time. And I said, oh, I know, because I can't move. Then one of the encephalon team, Dr. Joe Dispenza's staff member, comes to me and she says, are you okay? And I said, I'm okay. I just can't move my body. And they have seen it before. So they're like, all right, she's just going to need some time. Okay. Finally, I was able to get up, and then we went downstairs to eat our lunch. And the entire time, so I have been under general anesthesia before, so I know how it feels. And the entire time I was feeling like I had been through general anesthesia. Right. My lunch didn't taste like anything, and I was flying. Like I wasn't grounded in my body.
Was it
I was flying.
Did you feel tingly?
So at that point when I was able to get up, it was more of like a sense of being really relaxed and not feeling like I wasn't here, like almost in a dream state. But at that point, I started feeling better and I was able to move, but I was still really sleepy. But I was able to eat and everything. They then went back in. And I grounded in our second meditation of the day. I finally grounded, and I'm like, whoo, now I feel like myself. So I come to find out 3 days later, when we were talking, he is explaining what happens when you activate your pineal gland.
Ah.
So there is a cascade of chemical reactions that happen. So melatonin gets secreted by the pineal gland during the night hours when you're sleeping. And from melatonin, there are other chemicals that come out. It's like a superpower type of melatonin. And that's where your DMT comes from. So when you activate your DMT, there are other chemical reactions that happen in your body. Between 13 and 14,000 chemical reactions in your body when you activate your pineal gland and then activate the DMT. So after that, there is this chart, and this happens. And so this molecule that actually the electric eels have, and that's why they have, this fluorescent colors in the ocean, that's part of it too. That's why we have these visions, like this very clear holographic visions that are like this electric vision that comes to you and you're like, whoa, like these colors are amazing. And then, so all of these reactions are happening in your body. And then at the bottom of it, your pineal gland secretes a benzodiazepine that is Valium. And what Valium does to your body is an anesthetic. So I had a big rush of Valium in my body. That's why I couldn't get up. Wow. And I was trying to breathe deeply. Yeah. No, amazing. And
so that's neuroscience.
I did not know anything. Yeah, it was just crazy. So, and okay. But when he said, do you give me your 100%? And I said, yeah, I'm going to give my 100%. I'm right here. And I'm very curious. I am not the type of person that falls asleep in the meditations, because I am very, very curious about what's happening, about what they're saying, about the music that's playing. And there's a movie going on in my head. And I could be thinking all kinds of things, like this crazy movie going on. And I'm trying to tell myself, just relax. But there's this crazy movie going on. And I said, well, just surrender to what's going on. And boom, big rush of benzodiazepines. And there I go on the ground.
Right.
Comes to find out that I, had this enormous pain in my body for the last 4 years. And that was the beginning of healing the pain that I have had in my body.
Is that how you became a druggie?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Is that how you became a druggie?
Oh, a junkie?
Yeah. Oh, my book.
A druggie or a junkie
A
of the
druggie, yeah.
DMT?
Well, well, I mean, I wouldn't blame you.
Right?
So you know quite a lot about
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
what are the most
Yes.
important insights for us to know about neuroscience and how it connects to spirituality?
So to me, one of the huge things for now is acceptance. Acceptance is huge because, you know, for whatever is going on the planet or whatever is going on in our lives, if we begin to accept what's going on, we don't have to agree with it. We don't have to really form a type of agreement, or we don't have to like it, what's going on in our lives or in our planet. But if we accept it, then we begin to change it. And from that becomes surrender. And when you start surrendering to what you have no control, then you really start opening up to what comes to your life, and then you can accept that it's going to be always, it's going to be for your highest evolution. If in that moment you don't feel like it is, or if you're having a difficult time, know that that's whatever it is, it's a lesson. And that's how we clear all this dense energy that we agree to come to this planet. And so we're clearing so much.
And acceptance
we
is
have
the
to
key
accept.
to all of that.
Acceptance is the key to open yourself to really start letting all this dense energy out of your body. Of course, you know, there are many other ways to connect, but acceptance is huge, because if you don't accept, then you're really blocking yourself from the lessons and
You're
blocking
just stuck
yourself
in
from the energy.
survival if
Yeah.
you can't accept.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And
You're
our nervous
fighting
system.
reality.
Yeah, exactly. Our nervous system is so completely bombarded with all of this, and we're so overstimulated that you know, that the tools that we have with breathing techniques and everything is free. Everything is free. You can go and listen to YouTube videos and start learning about how to connect to yourself, and there's so much, but always with having discernment of where you're getting your information from. What you know, what is the energy behind this being or this person that is trying to teach you a technique? So yeah, have the discernment and connect to your intuition. And you know, so many tools that we have access to. Yeah, the breath is absolutely amazing, not only to heal conditions, but actually you can shift the energy of somebody that is trying to attack you. You can shift it instantaneously.
How do you do that?
With the breath. So this I learned years and years ago from another one of my mentors. Matt Kahn is from Seattle. Now he lives in Oregon, but we were talking about the breath, and he said how instantaneously you can use the breath as a tool to neutralize energies. And for me, it has worked with my patients. It has worked in one particular time where I was perhaps in danger. And basically what it is that if you feel like you're, you know, your body knows this intense emotion of somebody or something that is really making you feel like you're in danger or making you feel unsteady, you take a deep breath. And so you have the intention that you're going to neutralize this energy, and you take a deep breath and you let it out. And that is all you have to do. And it has worked for patients that I have. I've had patients that are resisting, whatever treatments, or they get, what happens with my patients is that a lot of them feel disempowered, because especially if they're sitting in a wheelchair, they feel like, we, the healthcare workers or the families, are just dragging them around like, oh, we have to do this, we have to do that. And they feel very disempowered. So sometimes I have patients that are like, you know what, I am done with these treatments, I am just giving up, and I don't think it's working. And I tried with one, and I took this deep breath, and I told them, I said, okay, all right, it's totally understandable. You really have the right in all to express how you feel and what you want to do with your body. And I said, but you tell me, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to help you? After I took this deep breath, and instantaneously he turned around and he's like, well, I want us to do this, this, and that. And I'm like, okay, that's what we were discussing a few minutes before.
Do you think we could do that as a global society, and perhaps some of the issues we're facing might be resolved?
Absolutely, yeah. And the same thing with the meditation, because it's shown, like the research is showing that when we're meditating on a global basis, the violence drops dramatically, not by a small percentage. Is researched, and the proof is there that the violence absolutely drops when there are global meditations held.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah.
And
So
I've also
go ahead.
heard, especially to do what Joe Dispenza does, that there's the epigenetics is involved with awakening. I mean, someone talked about light, like cosmic light, like changing our DNA, but even that we can do it too. So how does that fit into spirituality and the things we've been talking about?
So because everything is connected to everything. And we have been misinformed. A lot of all of this has been held from us because there are many monetary influences of power that if we have all this information and we start using all these tools that we have, then a lot of the medical corrupt systems will drop from the planet, which is happening already anyways. But so basically, because our DNA was in a dormant state, just like our spirituality was in a dormant state, where the spark of the divine that is in every heart, it's been there since the beginning of creation. But if we weren't allowing the spark to start shining bright from the inside out, then what was happening is that really what we were doing is we were self-sabotaging. And so right now, with all of these advances in the science and the epigenetics that tells you that the experience is what is changing your genes, not the other way around. they used to tell us that if you were born with a predisposition genetically, you know, whatever predisposition to an illness, if you had it in your family ancestry, then you were predisposed to perhaps cancer, heart condition, diabetes, whatever. But now epigenetics is telling us that the experience is what is causing the changes in the genes.
Well, so it's certainly true that if you take the genes as they are, that they have certain effects. And so I suppose it's like, there's this left brain and the right brain, and then there's the more, in reality, I suppose, there's a more masculine sort of analytical way of dealing with things. There's a more feminine sort of way of dealing with things that's more intuitive. And perhaps the Darwin approach, and then there's Lamarckianism that's honestly, to me, seems to symbolically represent what epigenetics is about. I feel like if we've just been only looking at one side of it, and it's not like, oh, it's this now, and that genes don't affect us. It's that we affect genes which affect us. But it's the idea that if they affect that, then we're powerless. But if we have mastery over our own genetics, then I mean, we've got so much potential, right? It's the illusion we'll be living under is our limitation.
Absolutely. And so because that the only about 5% of these genetic predispositions are like genetic malfunctions, I'm gonna call them. I don't know if that's the right term. There's only 5% that people have like very, very rare genetic diseases. But all the rest, we can start changing our genetic code by getting ahead of the experience. And what that means is that if we're right now in this moment of the now, which is the only moment that exists, we start creating a healthier version of ourselves
using the quantum
that already exists in the quantum field. So this perfect, healthy, abundant, free version of yourself already exists in the quantum field.
Is this linked to the multiple worlds theory or other theories of quantum physics?
So this is what it's what I have learned from my years of being in the spiritual community. And also I'm not gonna say that it's linked to what you're saying is the infinite versions of yourself. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, I mean, yes and no, I suppose. I was just more, I was curious how much we're going to hone into like different, like, because from my perspective, the context here is that the three main theories, I suppose, about quantum physics that I'm aware of are the Copenhagen interpretation, the multiple worlds, and the Bohmian mechanics. One of which is that I suppose all the possibilities in the quantum field are like, okay, one is that the Schrodinger's cat is alive and dead at the same time. So all the possibilities are true at the same time. One is that the true and multiple worlds, or like, slices of reality that of which are infinite. The other is that it's all determined by the Schrodinger equation in a deterministic way, but that it's non-local. But the non-locality has been proven. So multiple universes and stuff like, or multiple timelines. I believe in that. Unlike that, reality isn't like a fixed thing, and that it's more, that based on observation, which seems to be the Copenhagen interpretation talks about. That also seems to be true. So personally, I feel like they all have aspects of the truth. And what you're talking about is there being a quantum field, like the Higgs field, right?
So I'm
And
talking
this is
about
something we can wield with our minds.
yeah. So basically, the quantum field, us in my community, we call it the mind of God. Because ultimately, with me being spiritual, what am I trying to connect to? I'm connecting to my higher self. I am connecting to the creator of it all, which I am part of. So is the mind of God. And in this space, in the quantum field, is where all possibilities exist and where infinite versions of yourself exist. So by you creating an elevated emotion like love and gratitude in your heart, and you start opening your heart with, about the magnetic field. So when you open your heart and chemical reactions are happening, this magnetic field opens, then you make the connection with your heart and your brain, and then your pineal gland starts secreting these chemicals. Then you're out there in the quantum field creating a version of yourself, but you cannot go there with your body. You have to go there as pure consciousness. Your body is in a state of total relaxation. You're in a meditative state. Some other people might connect to it with breath techniques. Some other people might connect with, certain superpower abilities, like going deep diving, perhaps. And you're deep diving, and you're not using any equipment. You're basically diving, and you're holding your breath. Or, there are so many ways to connect, but you're connecting in this quantum field, but you're connecting with your consciousness. I'm sorry about that. You're connecting with your consciousness, not with the ability to, sorry about that.
We're connecting with their consciousness.
Not with the ability of saying, oh, I am going to connect right now. Yes, so you have the intention to connect, but you have to practice. So then you get your body to be in a really stable state of total relaxation, because you cannot connect to the quantum field with your body. You have to connect as pure consciousness. And when you go through between the 3D and to the 4D, you don't have a body. You are a no one. You're a nothing, a nowhere, and you don't have, the time doesn't exist.
Will we, though,
you go into the quantum
physically
field,
ascend eventually? Will our bodies transition at some point?
I don't have that answer for you.
Okay.
Is that okay, or are you able to edit this, or are we live? I really apologize. These dogs sometimes get loud when somebody comes to the house.
I guess they'll just, maybe they'll find it endearing. I don't think it's too bad. Right?
I know. I'm sorry. I apologize. It doesn't seem like they're. I'm going to mute you.
Briefly go to them if you want and calm them down, if that's okay. It's up to you. I can't hear you now.
We're okay now. It's my daughter coming in, and they get really happy when she comes in. So anyways, so as what is happening right now when we connect to the field, so basically your body is in a total state of relaxation, and you surrender to this. And of course, for a lot of people, it's scary at the beginning, because you're connecting to the space, which, in this three-dimensional reality, there is an infinite amount of space, right?
Yeah.
So when you're connecting there to the space, then you're surrendering to this space, this nothingness as consciousness, and then you create this version of yourself that is happier, healthier, free, joyful, ecstatic, etc., etc. So you're bringing it to you rather than going to chase it, rather than working your ass off for 50, 60 years just to be able to retire and enjoy your life. Because this infinite versions of yourself already exist in the quantum field. And so the ability for us to connect there, but you have to leave your body behind and your identity behind. And you just have to let go, let all that go, and just surrender to the process.
So
And
what?
that's,
So you've done this.
yes.
What happened? Did you move to a different reality, or a different version of your reality?
So basically, when you finish your meditation, you come back and the world as you see it is going to be the same, right? Your physical reality. I mean, but it's your energy that changes. It's your energy. So then
Okay.
you're
Yeah.
the synchronicities. So the synchronicities, and now you're not out to chase something. You're not out to manipulate systems, or you're not out to lie to get somewhere in life or to cheat,
So
because the things are coming to you.
you're not the seeker anymore. You've found it.
So your energy has changed. So then now it's coming to you rather than you going to chase those things that you want in your life.
So would you say Joe Dispenza's method is simply how to get there, or are there other techniques that help us? What
Yeah.
about dealing with traumas in
Yeah.
a way that clears our energy body? What advice do you have about inner work or
Yeah.
shadow
And
work?
so it's the same thing, really. There is no different method. And of course, like I said before, there are other methods that people can connect, and like Wim Hof method, for example. I mean, people are having amazing experiences with that. These are very intense breathing techniques that people are using, and I believe that's happening to them. But it's because your belief system. So here we go into our belief system. If you believe, you change your belief system into I cannot do this, into the I am going to surrender to the process and see what happens and let it surprise me. So it's really letting go. And when it comes to healing trauma, it's the recognition that you have the choice to stop rehearsing and going into it and bringing back that memory, because all you're doing is you're reinforcing that program in your head. The more you think about it, the more you try to clear it out by bringing back that emotion into your life, the more you're programming that part of your brain. So you keep reinforcing, it keeps coming back, and you keep living the experience. When you remember this experience, your brain is firing the same emotions, that your brain is firing the same chemicals, then your body is firing the same emotions, and then you're going in the same cycle. So what you really have to do is accept. Again, acceptance is super key. Accept that whatever has happened in your life, it happened and you're here. You're a survivor of it.
and it made you stronger. Maybe you
Yes,
planned for it the whole time before your
absolutely.
life. That's a realization I've been coming to recently about difficulties I've had. Um, that these things were meant to happen, and
Mhm.
accepting it has really allowed me to make progress, because I was just so well, I was upset and I was angry about the whole thing.
Mhm.
Now I'm increasingly just like grateful. It's
Yes.
nearly flipping the whole thing not said. And well, there's Carla Rueckert, the woman who channeled the raw material. One thing she said is that actually, I wrote it down here. Oh, wait, what was that? Oh dear. It's that if you take it as, instead of focusing on on that negative roundabout, that it takes you on this journey that you're out of control, right? And if we downgrade it to a preference for something better, that completely transforms it. Because then you're looking to a future that's better than that, as opposed to a past or a present that's better than that, as opposed to, well, repeating past. Because then
Yeah.
you're not really in the
Yes.
present. Um,
Right. Yes, absolutely. Because so by you going and visiting the same experience over and over again, you're just reinforcing the experience. The
mm,
brain, the brain takes, when you have trauma, the brain takes a snapshot and it records it in a part of the brain. It's a snapshot of an image and it gets recorded. Every time you go and revisit this experience, the brain is going to bring back the memory.
and then
The
you're
brain is going to,
vibrating at that
yes.
emotion
So
too.
it brings back the memory. Give me 1 second, please.
Okay,
Give me 1 second.
that's fine.
I think she's okay. She's just, give me 1 second. I'm going to send a message to my
Oh,
daughter
I
so
mean,
she
if you
knows.
just accept it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my solar cast just the other day, I couldn't remember that bit that I was going to say, but I'm glad I did remember it. I suppose I was attached. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Good.
So anyways, when you're creating this other version of yourself, which there are infinite amount of versions of yourself, and you can bring this version into you that feels whole and complete, that you have already forgiven whatever happened to you. If you have to forgive yourself for whatever this trauma, if you have to forgive others, if you feel like you're not in the space to forgive others, that is okay too, as long as you forgive yourself for what has happened and know that is that you didn't cause it. Whatever
Yeah.
happened, it happened. It's a thing. It's an experience. I have had very severe traumas in my life, severe traumas. And especially when I was a child, I had severe, yeah. And it didn't help me for the first, 20 plus years of my life to keep, rethinking and remembering, and it actually put me in a victim state.
Yeah. Yeah. That's familiar.
I'm a, yeah, victim of my circumstances. I am a victim of, whatever happened to me. This is terrible. Why me? What did I do to deserve all of this? On and on and on and on. And when you're in the state of victimhood, you're stuck. You're not going anywhere.
Mm.
And because you're in the state of victimhood, then you're in the state of blaming, and then that's what you're going to do in your life. You're going to blame others for what happened to you, what is happening in your current circumstance, you're going to keep blaming and blaming and blaming, and you're not going to take accountability for your actions. So if you want to get past beyond the trauma, you have to take accountability. And you have to realize that the more you think about, the more you bring up this memory, the more you keep reinforcing the chemical reactions in your brain, the more your body is going to feel these emotions. And the more you do it, it keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger.
Whereas
and
there's
what
always
happens?
Okay.
Yes.
There's always something to be accountable for.
Yes. And what happens?
Oh, go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Nick.
I'm tempted to say the same thing again. Okay. I suppose. No, I don't know. I really think we should go ahead.
Yeah. So really, when you start working, it's really what it is that you start reprogramming your subconscious mind. And those files that have been stored in your brain, they get replaced. And because what happens, so the brain is a very, very interesting mechanism. Your brain and your body don't know the difference between you remembering an experience or if you're actually currently living an experience. Okay, so the thought of the experience, you bring it back, your brain has the image, and your brain projects the image. And it doesn't know the difference if it's actually happening to you again in this present moment. So can you imagine what we're doing to us by keep bringing up this?
You're torturing yourself, right?
Yes. And you're making it stronger because you're firing and wiring the same thoughts, the same energy, the same pain, all of this, you're keep firing and wiring. And so by where you focus your energy, that's where you focus your energy, that's where you focus your attention. If you focus your attention, that's where your energy goes. So if you're focusing your attention on that, that's keeping you in the same energy. You start focusing on something else, and then all of a sudden you feel like perhaps you're going to think about it, but that image is not in your brain. So it's really not going to cause the same emotions in your body. And it's happened to me. After I got through with healing the severe traumas that I had from childhood, I can actually talk about it from beginning to end without causing any emotions.
Do you experience it as a different subjective experience emotionally? And thus technically you are remembering the event, but in a way it's a different file or an edited file.
Yes. And so we go back to the quantum field of reality. So then you're the observer of that experience. So then you're looking at it and you're like, yes, that happened. And also your brain makes up things. So perhaps what you thought was the experience is not exactly how it happened. Maybe you remember pieces of it. Maybe it's, especially if it's in the childhood, it gets, very interesting. So looking at from the observer aspect, then you're looking at it and it's an experience that you can talk about it. And it did happen, but we're still here. So that means that you survived the experience. And like you said before, now you're stronger. And now you have the tools to help other people heal their traumas. So that's what it's all about.
We lead by example, and then we are in a position to, yeah.
Crazy times we're living, huh?
But, I feel like this is good for humanity, and it has to get worse before it gets better. That's how it works with the Dark Night of the Soul. That's how it works. And you need to delve into your inner darkness to help to heal from it. It's a pity that some people they don't agree with the idea that we should focus on negativity because they feel you'll just get more negativity. I mean, fair enough, but we have to heal, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like all that energy that's negative within you, if we can transfer that into something positive, that's like that would propel us forward. That's powerful. That's empowering immensely. So that's when we talk about like the huge power or the huge potential that we have. Part of maybe a big portion of that is it's like this. Imagine these huge reserves of energy just in our trauma. And everyone's got trauma from this life, from previous lives, because there have been terrible things happening to people on Earth for a long time. And probably that's why we keep coming back. And I admit, I'm not, this isn't entirely my opinion, but in a sense it is because we're all one. So, yeah. And maybe we can all, this trial of fire that we're going through, it's as a species on Earth, we're going to get to somewhere that's we're going to transform ourselves and our world with it as we heal, right?
Yes, absolutely. And as we heal individually, we're also healing, like you said, our ancestral trauma, and our we also heal our fellow humans. So yeah, it's a really important time in our evolution where we feel like we do have the tools, we have the power to be sovereign, to be free, to be our own inner healers, to have the capability of create a really abundant life for ourselves and for our planet and the technologies that are coming. Just get ready. Just get ready, because I know of a few ones, and I don't know anything about what's coming next. But just a few things that I know. Yeah, the technology, the advances in our human evolution, and it all of this that we're seeing, all this chaos. Of course, it has to happen. Unfortunately, a lot of people have lost their lives. A lot of people have lost their businesses and their way of making a living, and it's very, very sad. It has to happen because it's like all of this dense energy, it has to be brought up to the light.
And it's a rebirth process.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe it's not a coincidence that Game of Thrones went out and it was all winter is coming. Maybe it's a metaphor for well,
yeah,
winter is what you get before the rebirth. So maybe that's the synchronicity.
absolutely, absolutely. Everything is connected to everything, and you know, so many other philosophies call it a rapture, Armageddon. Um, it is all the same thing, really. And it doesn't matter if we have certain religion, philosophy. What it really matters is to know that we're all one, that we came from one creator, the spark of the divine, whatever you want to call it. That when we realize the potential that we have, the unlimited potential that we have, that we can really start changing our lives and making the necessary changes, then we can start creating a beautiful future for our planet.
Yeah.
It's happening And, like some of us that are resisting the changes, then, perhaps we will have a little bit more difficult time making the shift. But,
They're going to get there.
It's an experience.
I feel like they're just, this is, everyone's growing from this, even if it doesn't look like it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if I was interviewing you a year ago, I would
Mhm.
look different. I mean, a lot of people, like, this whole process, it looks messy when it's actually working in a way.
Yep.
So yeah, if anything, there's reason to be optimistic.
Yeah. Yes, these are exciting times and everything is going according to the plan. Believe it or not, it looks messy, it looks ugly. Oh yeah, but everything is going according to the plan. Just trust the process, and surrender to the unknown. That's all I can tell you right now at this moment. Just know that everything is soon enough. A very good friend of mine that is very very connected. Um, he's been saying that he sees peace on planet Earth before the end of February.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes. I
Big things coming. I've been feeling it.
The
It's in the air,
huge
isn't it?
things are coming, huge things, and it's just like right now we're being bombarded. And myself, oh my goodness, I've been exhausted because it's just coming from everywhere. And I really have to have my time to spend in nature and ground myself because it's just too much to handle. So know that when you're feeling overwhelmed, just go out for a walk and stop doing, all this research and
Or deep
in
breaths.
social media and all of these electronic devices is just too much for our nervous system to handle.
Hmm.
So take breaks, deep breaths, do your meditations. There are many beautiful meditations that are free online. And, with me, I'm offering a weekly meditation every Sunday that we're gonna connect to a different meditation every Sunday and following the teachings of Dr. Joe Dispenza. This coming Sunday, we're gonna do the connect to abundance, synchronize your energy to abundance. And
So what
know that the
time
tools
are
are there.
those? What time?
So I'm gonna offer them at 5 o'clock Mountain Standard Time.
Is that 5 p.m.? Oh yeah, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Yes, and we'll we'll do this meditation together. And it's a small group of people. A lot of people want to, um, you know, I don't know how many I can get in a Zoom call, but these times really we really need to relax our nervous system as much as we can, and just have the vision of this beautiful shift without attaching to an outcome, without attaching to seeing certain things evolve in a certain way, because things are changing by the second, and we're supported. We're beyond supported right now. We got to an evolution in our consciousness that whether you want to agree with me or you want to believe it or not, it's up to you. I'm not here to tell you what to believe, but I've known this for so many years. But so we have an alliance. Some people call it an alliance, some people call it the Galactic Federation.
Hmm.
And so we're not here as humans by ourselves working through this transition. The earth is already on a completely different plane. So there is no way that these dense energies can survive on the planet. They don't have a base as where they can survive.
I've heard we're moving to a different part of the
Period.
galaxy now.
Yes. So we as humanity evolved our consciousness enough to agree that the Galactic Federation are here to actively helping. Not only because they were observing, they've been observing, what we call thousands of years for, for other dimensions and other realities is eons, is, it's a second in time where other dimensions, time and space don't exist. So they've been observing, and we have, as a collective, we have made a decision that we want to evolve together as human beings and in our planet where we can live harmonious, where we can live peacefully. And so now, because we're at this level, it's like a video game. You access levels, you access and open levels and open keys that you can unlock other levels. So then now they're here actively working with the collective. And yes, a lot of not very tasteful things are happening. Yes, acceptance,
Perhaps,
acceptance.
hmm,
Yes,
perhaps we've already won energetically. It just takes time for it to play out.
yeah. So yeah,
So, yeah,
that's where we are.
that was a great conversation. No, really, I really enjoyed this. So, and I'd definitely like to interview you again. I don't know what we'll talk about, but I'm sure we've got more to talk about. So, and maybe next
Absolutely.
time we'll be living in a different world.
We are already living in a different
Yeah,
world
exactly.
where dogs bark, right? But that's part of our animals. They want to talk, they want to say hello.
Maybe we'll start saying hello. That'll be the
Right, communicating telepathically. But yeah, absolutely, thank you so much. I have so much fun talking about this stuff. Is one of my favorite subjects, talking about the quantum field and self-empowering and what we can do for ourselves. So yes, have a
all right.
beautiful rest of your day.
Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.
All right. Bye, everyone. Have a lovely morning, evening, or whatever. Bye.